So we're going to look at aller again and what else we can do with it besides just say I'm going, how we can use it. Hopefully this is review. And then we're also going to look at another verb venir that I think you did last year and what else we can do with it. So aller, what does aller mean? We did this recently, to go, right? And what are the forms? This is review. Je vais, tu vas, il va, nous allons, vous allez, ils vont, elles vont. So we know we could talk about going. Well, what if we want to talk about going to specific places or talking about the future? So let's talk about the future. There is another way to do future in French, but this way, this future is talking about something you're going to do really soon, a near future. So right now I'm about to do this maybe like this weekend, next week, something like that. Not something super far in the future, but people would understand you even if you did that. So this is going to be our future for right now. And you did this last year, right? Use a form of the verb aller and then stick another verb after it. Don't conjugate the second verb. And you're talking about what you're doing in the future. Je vais travailler. Form of aller, match with je. Second verb, to work. Left the er on because it's the second verb. I didn't conjugate it. I'm going to work. Nous allons manger. Conjugate aller with nous. Left the second verb alone. We're going to eat. Easy, right? How to do the future. Hopefully we've seen these things. So let's talk about going to specific places. I want to go to a place that's feminine, like the library, la bibliothèque, right? Je vais à la bibliothèque. This one's easy. A is always to, right? La we know is the, and library is feminine, so it's the library, à la bibliothèque. It's a little more complicated if we're going to a masculine place, because for some reason in French you can't say a and le together, right? I'm going to the stadium. Stadium is masculine, so it's le stade, but in French, a and le is impossible. It combines to make a contraction, au. So we have je vais au stade. A la doesn't have to contract, but a le becomes au. If I'm going to go to a plural place, I'm going to go to a bunch of stores. I'm going to the stores. Je vais à les, but in French, aller doesn't work. We have to change it to au with an X, au. So je vais au magasin. And then I'm going to some place that starts with the vowel sound, like a hotel. I'm going to the hotel. À l'hôtel. You don't have to make any contraction here. To, as a, L apostrophe is the form of the here. So the only two that we had to do something different to was to go to a masculine or a plural place, right? Because à le becomes o and aller becomes o with an X. Hopefully we knew those. Okay. And then let's look at venir. This is the first time this year that we've reviewed venir. What does venir mean? To come. And it's not a regular IR verb, so we can't do it like finir. So we've got je viens, tu viens, il vient. Those all sound the same. Nous venons, vous venez, ils viennent. And this one down here does not sound the same as these three. These all have a nasal sound at the end. So if you go vient, plug your nose, you've got the sound. Here, because there's two N's, we're pronouncing the N's. Vienne. And notice that in the boot here, we've got V-I-E. But outside the boot with nous and vous, it's a V-E-N. They're different. Two things we can do with venir. We can talk about, this is brand new, something we just did. So with aller, we're talking about something we're going to do in the future. Here we're going to talk about something we very, very just did. Now recently we've been talking about passé composé, so let's not confuse this with passé composé. Passé composé is something you've done any time in the past. Something that's done and over with. It could have been 5 minutes ago, yesterday, 10 years ago. Venir de is something you literally just did. Like I just finished eating, threw my sandwich away, and now I'm listening to you. Very, very just did. You can't use this for something you did 5 days ago or 2 years ago. Okay, it's something you very, very just did. So you're going to conjugate a form of venir, like with all of these. Then you're going to put de after it, and then you're going to put another verb. And since that other verb's the second verb, you're not going to conjugate it. So let's just say you just did something. Je viens de manger. Conjugate venir with je. Add de. Put the second verb without conjugating. I just ate. Nous venons de nager. Conjugate venir with nous. Write de. Put the second verb without conjugating. We just swam. So notice back when we were doing aller, to go back far for that, there's nothing between aller and the verb. It's just je vais travailler. But with venir, we've got to have a de here. Je viens de manger. So again, don't confuse this with passé composé that we've been practicing. This is something you very just did, not any time in the past, okay? And then, hopefully, this is review 2, talking about coming from specific places. We talked about going to specific places. Now we're going to come back from those places. Coming from a feminine place, de la. Easy. We don't have to combine any words. I'm coming from the library. Library is feminine. De is from. La we know is the. So, de la. Je viens de la bibliothèque. Just look like we did a second ago with aller. Coming from a masculine place, we have to make a little contraction. I'm coming from the stadium. Je viens du stade. What is du? It's de and le combined. So I'm coming from the stadium, de le. But in French, we can't say de le, it becomes du. Coming from plural place, I'm coming from the stores. I just looked at a lot of stores. Je viens des magasins. Des is the combination of de and le. I'm coming from the, de le. But we can't say de le, it becomes des. And finally, I'm coming from the hotel. Places that start with a vowel sound. Again, we don't have to make any contraction. From, de, the, L apostrophe. Je viens de l'hôtel. And voila.